Hey, Brody.
Hey, Zach.
So, what'd you think about last night's game?
So it was kind of like, have you ever stared directly into the streaming waters of time themselves and pulled out a prediction that nobody would have ever pulled just to see it get beaten by one goal on either side? Yeah, me
Okay.
neither.
Okay, well, let's talk about this game then. So, 7-3. What a huge score line. I mean, wow.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
just
mean, scoring
watching
is,
that game was great. It was
yes.
just amazing and wow.
You just keep talking, huh? Yeah, just like, oh yeah, you got some extra opinions? Please tell me. What do you think
Yeah,
about it?
we
No, 7-3. I mean, scoring has been across the entire NHL. So, I mean, even still, you don't normally see games like this. So it was fun to watch, especially like you. I think the weirdest thing about this game is you hit an empty net goal, and then also you get a goal after that, and there could have been another goal after that one. But Subban was playing out of his mind. I think even if you had Fleury in this game, you still see a pretty similar scoreline because there were a couple goals that Subban let in that were maybe a little bit softies, but he stopped some big chances, just crazy stops from Subban all game.
and going into this game, we knew it was going to be a definitely more of a feisty one, and we got that with the penalties. I think there were 11 penalties total. So let's talk about some of our statistics here. So 42 shots on goal to 39 shots on goal. Like I think we had 16-9 in the first.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was an offensive game. The defense was out there doing their best, but like everyone was just out there to take shots on goal and get scoring chances, and enough of them went in that it was one of the most entertaining games that I've seen in a long time.
And let's just the power plays. I mean, we 6 power plays total. We talked about how bad we were at it, but here we are making 3 of them. And the penalty kills, we killed 4 penalties, only went one through. I mean, that's 11 power plays in one game, though. Like, holy crap. So,
Are you ready for some controversial opinions?
yeah, hit me.
Power play's not hard if you don't have to set up and you just score early. Boom. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
yeah. No, we
roasted.
didn't really like pass the puck around. So when Stone scores, they just sort of break in, pass a couple times, then Stone has an empty net basically to shoot at. So it's good passing, but like it's not real power play work. It's more like that could have happened 5-on-5. We just happened to break in exactly correctly, and the puck was moving the way that we wanted it to. Stastny's goal a little bit later was also really kind of similar. You get a little bit of a rebound off of Dell at that point, and Stastny just puts it in. I mean, you didn't set up. There wasn't the passing, the kind of stuff that you wanted to see. On the penalty kill, however, double controversial opinion. Our penalty kill wasn't that good early. There were 3 or 4 cross crease passes. So if we want to talk about a little bit of what goes into a good penalty kill, what you don't want to see is the puck going all the way from the left circle to the right circle, like directly. They can work it around the outside, but if a puck goes from the left circle to the right circle, the chance to score on a shot that's taken right then is 25% higher. If they make another pass, it goes up another 10%. So those cross seam passes are what killed us in the Stanley Cup playoffs last season. And I was seeing a couple of them go by, and I was chattering on my fingernails because it was not good. And then later on in the game, we settled down and our penalty kill was better. Ironically, they scored later in the game, but not on those first
Yeah,
couple.
it was their last goal they got was the penalty kill goal.
Yeah, and I thought that our penalty kill was better later, even though they scored later. And our power play, I mean, it was pretty much the same all the way through. I wouldn't say our power play is not fixed. Our power play is not fixed.
Yeah, each of the goals in our power play was there was 1 per period. Now those
Yeah.
hits really surprised me when I saw that. You have such high penalties being called, and like I guess they weren't really focused on legally hitting each other.
And yes. It turns out I'm apparently maybe just a dumb stupid head because we just always lose hits in games, or maybe we've just been winning these games that we've reviewed so we don't have to hit as much. Yeah, no, it was a physical game. So maybe I thought maybe the hit counts were kind of low.
I know those hit
honestly.
counts really surprised me. Well, let's dive right into the first period here. So 30 seconds in, and I'm starting to get real used to seeing these 30-second goals. It seems to be happening all the time. We have Couture. Is that how you pronounce that? Couture?
Logan Couture.
Oh,
Couture,
Ooh,
Couture,
fancy.
whatever.
30 seconds in, his 35th goal, bam. We're already down one, and it's a little disheartening, but we don't let it last long.
Yeah, and if you saw that goal and then like the 5 minutes that followed that, you're like, oh boy, this is gonna be a long night. The Sharks dominated the first part of the first period there, and that was also a little bit of what happened the rest of the night. In terms of it was going back and forth, and so we were dominating for huge stretches, and the Sharks were dominating. There were chances back and forth, and there was a lot of zone time for both teams. So it was a really offensively interesting game.
You say the first 5 minutes the Sharks really controlled it, but within the next 5 minutes, there's 2 more goals. 3 minutes later, Carlson goes, and let's take note, this is the first goal that Smith is involved in.
Pass God Smith himself. So he's going to end up with a 4-point night. So Pass God Smith is just getting warmed up at this point. But also, I think that the assists are wrong on this one because it should be William Karlsson from Logan Couture. So this was the breakaway goal where Carlson's coming down the ice after a good pass over the blue line by Marchessault, and Carlson loses the puck, and then Couture just poke checks it right back onto his stick, and he beats it by Jones.
Couture is such a nice guy.
I know, right? I think the Sharks honestly deserved at least 2 assists tonight.
That's hilarious. Okay, well, a couple more minutes later, we got Mark Stone hitting it up. That's another Smith's assist. We're up to 2 now.
Pass God.
Praise
I'm just going to keep saying pass God until we get to the Smith goal where I tell you how much more of a pass God Carlson is, but moving on. So this is the power play goal by Stone. Like I said, they're flying into the zone, they're passing back and forth. It was like a chippy pass up over the blue line. They pick it up it was a good pass from Smith to just find. So Smith tries to pass to Marchessault in the middle of the ice. It knocks off a Shark, and then Smith just grabs it again and goes, "Oh, find the second guy, finds Stone, open goal. Easy."
Easy peasy. Well, before we get to the next goal, there was a fight on the ice, and you better not tell me this is kerfuffle because there were penalties called. Kevin LeBlanc and good old Marchessault duking it out on the ice.
Fight. Yeah, Marchessault, he's a little guy. He's not I think he's 5'9". He's one of the shorter guys on the team, but he fights like a spider monkey. He goes in there, and so this was. They both got unsportsmanlike conduct for this one. Watching what happened to Marchessault, he was tripped very blatantly behind the net, and so I don't blame him for going out there and basically protecting himself, because if you let a divisional opponent like the Sharks do something like that to you, they'll keep doing it, and so you got to go protect yourself. And so I don't mind taking that penalty, especially because it was at the same time coincidental. And even though the Sharks score in that 4-on-4, I thought we looked good.
Okay, let's just jump straight into the Thornton goal here. So, unassisted, Thornton scores at 9:54. This is during the 4-on-4.
Initially, I was down on Subban for this one because I thought he had enough time to react to it and make the stop on this one. But when you watch it back, Thornton isn't even looking at the goal. He's looking at his teammate the whole time, and then just sort of tosses it towards net. Subban makes a reaction towards it, which is what he wants to do, but it's a really beautiful goal, especially if went off the post. If that just goes wide, Thornton just kind of looks stupid for not looking at where he's shooting the puck. But because it goes in, it's one of the better goals that was scored tonight. I mean, there were crazy goals scored all night tonight, and to say that this is one of the better ones is kind of silly.
And if you still don't believe it, we're still in the first. Marchessault, and guess who? Smith, once again, another goal to cap out the first.
I want to start clapping to Pass God Riley Smith, but I'm not going to do it because it would make for bad audio. Yeah, Pass God Riley Smith, once again, finding Marchessault. Can I say I love that post, by the way? That post comes back later, towards the end of the second period. Subban, juggles a puck over top of him, and it just goes wide of that post. I thought it hit the post initially, and so I'm, super up on that particular post. Big fan of that one.
So looking at the first as a whole, there's really one thing that I want to talk about is the fact that out of the 11 penalties in this game, 6 of them were in the first.
Yeah, it was a really chippy first period, but there was also one other thing that you didn't mention, and that was Haley like gets into a scrap, we'll call it, with Reeves because we don't have a fight alert up for this one.
Reeves was on his way to the bench and
Yeah,
gets
Reeves
pulled off.
Yeah, he's already on the bench. He makes a clean hit
He
near the
didn't
bench.
fight back, to be fair. It's hard to say fight alert.
It looked like Reeves, like later on, Reeves was like, "Oh, if this guy wants to go, I'll go." And I think maybe Coach Gallant told him not to go. But like when Haley pulls him off the bench, Reeves is like laughing at the guy because the whole game Haley was playing with a chip on his shoulder, and like Reeves was like, "Oh, I'll give him what he's asking for if he's really gonna ask for it." And honestly, I think if the linesman hadn't stopped it, like. You give Haley one good chip in there, and then Reeves just puts him down. Like, yeah, no.
Well, let's talk about the second. We have our second power play goal.
Well, also, I just have written here, second period, more like penalty period. Even though it was less penalties than the first period. But like,
yeah, you did bad math. There were only 4 penalties.
Well, the story of the second period was kind of those penalties, because there was nothing scored on any of them. It was bad power play hockey from both us and the Sharks, or you could call it good penalty kill hockey, up to you. And so it totally screwed the whole momentum of the period. So it seemed like whenever one team was getting momentum, a penalty would be called, and then it would just be like 2 minutes of nothing happening, and then we get to the penalty finally where Stastny scores, and it was again sort of like we just break in, get a couple good passes, Stastny picks up a rebound, puts it off of. Oh, we didn't even talk about how we chased Jones from that game. I didn't think Jones was playing that bad, and they just tossed him after 3 goals. They weren't even like bad goals. I thought they were goals where he had a chance to save them, but they're not the kind of goals where you're like, you need to go because you're losing this game for us. No, Jones was not losing that game.
It took a couple seconds into that for me to figure out who Jones was.
Jones is
the Sharks
goaltender.
Starting goaltender. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a huge part of the reason why I'm not afraid of the Sharks or the Flames in the playoffs. Their goaltending is just not good enough to win a 7-game series.
Ooh, you're hearing it here first. Okay, well, let's jump into the third. The passing god himself, the man of the night, the legend, Smith.
Okay, so this is pass god bringing it home to the back of the net, but also Carlson, despite Riley Smith being pass god himself. So Smith passes it to Carlson, so Smith basically gets an assist on his own goal, and then Carlson with a spinning behind the back pass, and the look on Smith's face after he scores this goal is just like when the wild bill hits the bloodstream, he's like, whoo! The look on his face is so good. Go watch the goal clip.
Go back. When the wild what hits the what?
Wild Bill is William Karlsson's nickname because he's got a 6-shooter shot. It comes off so quick. So he's Wild Bill Karlsson. And so when the Wild Bill hits your veins, like Smith just took like a hard shot of the Wild Bill and it went straight to the bloodstream. And he like the look on his face is he's so surprised. And during the entire like goal huddle, he's like standing around like looking at like everybody's like, "Did you see that?"
So I would like to mention at this point, when this goal happens, we are basically coming very close to hitting your prediction from last
5-2.
episode.
My prediction was 6-2.
And then on a power play, the Sharks hit their last goal of the game, and your prediction's dead.
Yeah, honestly, I have written here in my notes, rip prediction, Subban almost had it too, not really though. It was a good power play goal. It comes out near the top of the circle, and Couture just basically rips it. And so those are the kind of things. If he stops it, you're like, "Oh, that's a good stop." It sounds like it's the kind that you can hear bang off the pads. And if he doesn't stop it, you're like, "Ooh, that's a good shot." It's a good shot. I can't fault him, even though I do.
You're still angry, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm angry.
So we have Marchessault scoring the next goal.
Marchessault, more like March Assault, because it's March and he's assaulting the goaltenders. Ha ha ha.
Wow, that was honestly. We're just gonna move on. Cody Eakin.
wait, no, because that's Marchessault's. That's the empty net goal that happens before the third power play goal. So It seemed like we had possession of the puck for like 47 and a half years before we took a shot. They're basically just like passing it around, playing with their food at this point, and it honestly rude, very rude. I'm not okay with it. Don't play with your food.
We are
like
the
that.
Knights, not the Sharks.
Yeah, no, and then finally Marchessault gets his chance to shoot and just buries it. So, yeah, no,
And then
nobody
we had
wanted
the
to
power
shoot.
play goal afterwards. Cody Eakin.
Strangest thing in the world. So
What made it so
I kind
strange?
of I mentioned last game that I wanted to see Eakin get some power play time, but this is not the kind of power play time that I wanted. So basically, what happens is we go on the power play with less than 2 minutes left, and Coach Gallant basically just goes, "Well, I'm not going to send out a power play unit. I want these guys to rest." So he just sends out the third line: Nosek, Eakin, Tuck, and then just Theodore and Schmidt on the back end, I guess, because so Theodore is our highest scoring defenseman. Schmidt's got a lot of offensive upside, so I guess he put out those guys for that reason. And then he basically just sends out the third line, and the third line just buries it immediately because they have more synergy than our second power play unit for whatever reason. So, it's weird to see a goal go in after the empty net. So, very strange.
Well, the third and a hole felt just, it was a bit. I'm trying to think. How would you describe it? How would you describe the third as a whole?
Well, I have written here third period, more like RIP prediction period.
We just can't get over this, can we?
It was so close.
Yeah, honestly, I spent most of the third just hoping this prediction would come true, and I mean,
It's not often when you're like, don't score more goals.
yeah,
Stop.
it's always
No
a rare
more
thing.
goals.
Well, 7-3, final score of the game, and it was a great game. We really just dominated the Sharks out there, in my opinion. You got any quick offense and defense recap for me?
The Sharks are a good team, and so you can't expect to dominate a game against them every time. And so the Sharks had their good chances. Subban played exactly the way that you want him to, and he showed that he is a good goaltender. Anyone who had doubts, Malcolm Subban tonight was the same Malcolm Subban that we saw for a lot of last season as well. And so his play was perfect. I can't have any faults with it. Besides that, on the defensive side, like I said, I'd like to see our penalty kill not allow those cross seam passes. Those are the kinds of thing. Next time that we're on the penalty kill, just watch. Winnipeg has a really good really good power play. So watch what they do, and if we allow passes to go to the center of the ice, across from circle to circle, those kinds of things, those are the shots that are really high danger. And so if you see a power play goal go in after one of those, know that that's the penalty killer's fault. That's their only job, is to get rid of those cross seam passes.
Well, there you have it. Coming to Las Vegas this Thursday, the Winnipeg Jets will be facing off. Brody, you're in the arena for that one, right?
I will be.
Cool. Well, what's your opinion? What's your prediction going into this? What do you have going on?
So first, I want to say, because from now until the end of time, it seems, at least one of the two teams that will be playing will be coming off of a back-to-back. The Jets will be coming from Anaheim after their game against the Ducks. The same day that we played the Sharks, so today, they played against the Kings. They won 3-2. It was a good game for the Jets. They basically shut down the third period. They're playing playoff hockey at this point. So I think this is the kind of game that we want to look at and see how we do when we're the team that's rested and the other team's coming off of back-to-backs, and see how we roll in against them. That being said, we've played pretty well against the Jets throughout. I mean, obviously we played against them in the playoffs last year where we did really, really well against them. And then we had a game earlier this season where it seemed like 99.97% of the game we were on the power play and couldn't score once. So that was really bad. But I think the Knights are rounding into shape, and they'll have a much better game against the Jets this time. So I'm looking at a scoreline of 4-1 with an empty net goal, just to be more specific, because it'll be more impressive if I'm correct, and it's more specific.
Well,
So,
there you
okay,
have it
wait.
then.
I'll actually call all the goals. So the Jets are going to score a power play goal
real cocky here.
from Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler's going to score on the power play for the Jets. Mark Stone is going to score a shorthanded goal. He doesn't even go out on the penalty kill, so it's going to be really strange when he scores a shorthanded goal. Then you're going to have Theodore blast one from the point. What else? Who else? Who hasn't scored in a while? Eakin hasn't. No, he scored tonight. Maybe fourth line. Fourth line. Somebody on the fourth line will score. Carpenter. Carpenter will score a good passing goal from Belmar and Reeves, and then the empty net will go to Tuck.
Oh my God. Well, there you have it.